You're listening to Caregiver Crossing, a podcast brought to you by Joy's House. We are delighted that you're here. Caregiver Crossing is a podcast created just for you, the caregiver. I'm Tina McIntosh.
I'm Terry Stacy. We're here every week with experts from across the country, providing comfort and resources and joy, hopefully a lot of joy to our caregivers. And this podcast really does serve to embrace family caregivers of today and also of tomorrow. We thank you all so much for joining us today. Tina, we have a topic that I have no knowledge about, and I'm excited to learn more.
Okay, first of all, you having no knowledge of something is beyond my wildest dreams because you have knowledge of everything. So I do know you actually know our guest because we are welcoming back Anna Howard, JD. Anna is a partner and managing attorney at Severns and Howard, an elder law and estate planning firm located in Carmel, Indiana. And you'll remember Anna, she was on the show about a year ago and had a ton of information. We packed it all into one episode. But there's one important topic that we didn't get to in our last interview. And I know that Joy, our producer, has linked that last interview in the show notes. But it's this topic of personal care agreements. And a lot of people, Terry, talk about that as caregiver contracts or family care agreements. And these are agreements, they're contracts between family members who agree to provide caregiver services for a disabled or aging relative. So these agreements can offer family caregiver security. So they don't suffer any undue financial consequences. And at the same time, the agreement can also give the person receiving the care peace of mind, which we can all use, that they have a caring advocate to manage their needs no matter what. And so we're going to jump right in. Anna, so glad you're here.
Oh, thank you for having me back. Always fun.
I'm gonna have Terry start this conversation because she knows zero about this, she claims. And so
I don't. I will. And that, thank you. And it is something that I never thought you would need an agreement between family members. But the more I think about it, the more, as Tina said, this is kind of peace of mind. It's everything's right in front of you. What is the primary purpose of a personal care agreement?
Sure. So the primary purpose of these agreements is to allow your loved one to pay you, the caregiver or care provider, however you want to refer to that as, for giving those services. It makes it legal. It actually works better for Medicaid purposes because it doesn't look like you're just giving your child money. And it actually can even count as a medical expense if you're trying to receive VA aid and attendance pension. And it's nice and neat and all in one document.
But so give us the situation. So I'm going to make it personal. My mother-in-law lives with us, Anna, and she has her own apartment right next to our home, on our property. She takes care of most of her needs. I mean, she's, independent, but does need some additional care. But let's just fast forward. Let's give her 20 years, and say that at that point, she does need a lot of care in her life. And we want to enter into an agreement. But what does it look like?
Oh, sure. It's a legal document, and it's really going to spell out the services that you're going to provide to them. Now, I want to stop for just a moment and say, you don't have to give hands-on care. A lot of us think of a care provider as someone who comes in and bathes mom and, dresses mom. It doesn't have to be that distinct hands-on care. A lot of caregiver agreements that are between family members, mom and child, a lot of times we're saying, look, child is going to oversee the care for mom. They're going to take them to the doctor. They're going to make those doctor's appointments. Maybe they're arranging the care. They're calling Joy's house and making sure mom gets dropped off to Joy's house every day and she gets picked up. It's coming in and making sure mom's house is clean and safe for her to walk around. It's managing her medication. Is she taking her medication? Do we have to get a pill dispenser for mom? Those kinds of things are in a care service agreement. You can also even include balancing mom's checkbook, paying mom's bills, doing grocery shopping for mom and bringing in and putting those groceries up. Those are all things that a lot of us think of that we do on an everyday basis, maybe for our loved one. You can be paid for those services because it takes time to do that. You're taking time out of your life to do this.
And sorry, Terry's like, I have questions, but even if you don't get paid for this, I'm thinking, Anna, how smart just to have the conversation. I mean, so many of us just don't have the conversation, and then either we wonder why there's a riff or a rub, and there's tension. It's because we're not talking about it. I mean,
Right.
do you find that's a part of what you're doing, is helping families just better understand what is expected?
Right. It is, because a lot of times maybe mom or dad do just expect their child to do that. They forget what it was like to be in their 40s and 50 and also having their own family at home to take care of. And so having this conversation with them is so important, and sitting down saying, Mom, Dad, I love you and I want to do these things for you, but I'm having to take time off of work. Maybe I'm having to take time away from my kids' schedule to come and do these things. I'm losing my own money or time. It's only fair. The other thing these care service agreements are so important for is if one child is taking care of mom, and let's say you have a bunch of siblings, by having it in a legal writing, you can get paid, and those siblings cannot come back at the end and say, hey, you swindled mom. She gave you all this money. It's not fair. And I will tell you, at the end of life,
That's
when
what-
the time comes, money is always a number one issue.
Absolutely, it is. You hear that time and time again. And that's why this is such an important document that I, again, had no idea even existed. These caregiver contracts, or these family care agreements, are what we're talking about. You keep talking about legally. So therefore, do we need to get a lawyer involved to make this a legal document? And also, is this something fairly new, or have caregivers known about this type of a contract long before we talk about it today?
I think a lot of people know that it's out there. They don't exactly know what's involved. And so I will tell you, it is important to get a lawyer involved, because it is a legal document, not only to draw it up, to make sure it has all the components in it that it should have, but also that attorney can talk to you and mom about what this means. Okay. So the biggest thing I always stress is that when you are paid under a care service agreement, it's income to you. You are required to report it on your taxes. We give the IRS publication to all of our clients who are caregivers or providers and say, this, you need to read this. No one wants to, but you should, because you have to report it as taxes. It is income.
So what do you say to those people who are like, well, I'm just going to Google a form? Because I know those people are out there.
Absolutely. And we know that, just as doctors know people Google all their symptoms when they're sick, right? So
wait a minute. I don't need you yelling at me, Anna.
My own doctor called me to leave. He told me that I'm no longer Dr. Google. So I understand. We all do it. And that's fine. But the problem is, a lot of times those legal forms online miss things. When you're signing a contract, you are agreeing to do certain things. So you want to make sure that contract fits what you're really going to do and what you're taking responsibility of. You don't want to sign up for something you don't want to do. And if you sign the contract, you have to perform those tasks.
Yeah. And I think, when it comes to the legal stuff, I'll be honest, and, for listeners, I would caution people of just Googling forms and using them, whether it's this or it's estate planning or, all the other things, Anna, that all of you at your firm do, because there are so many details to things. And if something goes sideways, boy, it's a lot easier to call Anna and the folks at her firm and say, hey, things went sideways on this and I need some help. And the folks at Severns and Howard will take care of you, versus if it's a form that you've looked up online, you have no one to contact. And that's a real dangerous place to be from a legal perspective. So,
that's absolutely
about it in just knowing, it's just not a good thing to do, but people do it.
Absolutely. The other thing about coming to an attorney is that we're going to let you know how that contract works with Medicaid or VA or any other government program that may be involved.
So how many, and maybe we don't have statistics on this, and I know Terry and you kind of, went there a little bit, but one out of how many caregiving families do we think have these agreements in place?
I would say very little.
Yeah, one out of not enough. I mean,
yeah, one out of not enough. That's honestly the case, because a lot of times maybe they come in and they say, well, I've been doing all this for mom, but she just gifts me every year. Well, okay. But if she's only gifting you and she's not gifting other kids, there comes that issue. The bigger issue is this: gifts are not good if you need to qualify for Medicaid later. So if mom is just gifting you money to take care of them, that could possibly have an adverse effect if they need Medicaid in long-term care. And long-term care is expensive.
And I know we just have a couple more minutes, but I want to ask this question because sometimes we start thinking about this after mom or dad or whoever we're caring for has been diagnosed with a dementia, has cognitive issues. Does someone else need to get involved then if mom's not able to do that, if she's not, or dad is not able to do that because of where they are in their in that diagnosis? Does somebody else need to get involved, or it still can be family without mom or dad?
Well, so if mom and dad are literally not able to sign the document because they have cognitive issues, then the general durable power of attorney can sign the care service agreement on behalf of mom and dad in their role as power of attorney. So they can sign that document as well.
There are a lot.
So first we need to get a power of attorney.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I was going to say. So many things to consider when you're caregiving. And unfortunately, I think this is why, caregivers get so stressed out and tired and burn out, and why caregivers, those of you who are listening here, caregivers, understand this. And if you don't, you need to know why we as caregivers are the ones who end up getting ill often, and often dying before our loved ones. I mean, this is just a fact, folks. So we need to do better. If you don't have an attorney who focuses on elder law and caring for families who understand caregiving, you need to get one. And whether or not you're thinking, hey, I want to go into this, having this personal care agreement or not, isn't necessarily what I'm suggesting, although it needs to be part of your conversation. But you need to have the estate planning and the power of attorney and all of that. Something tells me that then if mom is diagnosed with dementia, your attorney knows those wishes and can help you put some of that stuff into play too. So Anna, I guess in closing for this conversation, what tips do you have for caregivers to approach these conversations, whether or not it is for this personal care agreement or just, hey, mom or dad, it's time for us to go see Anna Howard and her partners, and start having these conversations. What can we do?
So having that conversation is hard, and I know that, but honestly, sitting down and having that conversation with mom and dad about, look, we need to plan ahead for what happens if you need care or if you need some kind of assistance, because by planning ahead, you can save money, maybe protect some assets, and you can make sure you get the care that you want. And then your decisions and your voices are heard by the people that you designate. So you need to stress to mom and dad, we want to make sure your wishes are fulfilled, but we need to know what those wishes are. And by going in and getting these documents set up, we'll know that.
Yeah, if you could just
terrific
with each and every one of us and say that for us, that would be really great. Make it easier for everybody.
Yeah, make it easier. That's right.
Well, thank you for what you do. Really, really grateful that you care. We thank you for the support of Caregiver Crossing and Joy's House, and just
always
the great work at Severns and Howard. We're just really, really grateful. So Anna Howard is our guest today, and so glad you're here.
Thank you.
As we close the show today, just to remind you that you contact Tina McIntosh for more information and resource you through the journey of caregiving, and do that by sending her a note at tina@joyshouse.org. And also our thanks to AARP for their continued support of Caregiver Crossing. They're leading a revolution in the way people view and live life after 50. And we love that they're working to empower people to choose how they live as they age. Until next time, thanks so much for joining us here on Caregiver Crossing. Take good care of each other, and we'll talk to you next week.